first of all, I just want to say that it has been so fun. In the last couple of days, I got to meet Belinda Allen and Twana Tolliver in person at the Silver Lining World Tour event in Philadelphia. So I just want to say hi to them. And Linda Green's here. I got to meet her in Brooklyn about a month ago. So fun. And Columbo mentioned it, but next Tuesday, I think it is, Columbo can confirm, we're doing the slap meet with Theon Hill. Rebecca Baruki, who's here, hi Rebecca, who I love, a couple of months ago said, it's so hard to figure out how to be a justice-oriented small business owner and like fight for our values and also figure out how to say those things publicly and protect our business and our revenue. And so thanks to that inspiration, we got Theon Hill to do a meet next week. So I'm going to be at that meet as well. I think it's going to be amazing. Theon's actually very, very, very special. And I think will give us great perspective. So if you are a business owner, if you want to use your business to create as much change as possible in the world, if you also want to balance how you do that and figure out how to stand for your values and stand for what you believe while also being a business, I think the session next Tuesday is going to be really exciting. I'm actually excited. I'm going to be co-facilitating it, but I am planning to attend and learn because I think there's a lot that will be fabulous about it. So come next Tuesday is the name of the game, and keep asking us for what you need, because when we hear it, we can make sure it happens for all of you guys. And then it's just so fun to have met some of you. Oh, I just saw Rebecca Scott. I saw Rebecca. I got to meet Rebecca Scott in LA at the World Tour event. A blessed, I think, in May. So it's lovely to see you all. It's so fun that I'm getting a chance to meet some of you through the Silver Lining World Tour. I'm thrilled that you guys are telling us what you need, and thankful to people like Sashni and Columbo for making sure that we're honoring those needs you guys have. And I'm excited to be in dialogue with all of you today. So I am going to share my screen. I'm going to just start with 4 slides. The theme of today is a Ask Me Anything on behavior change science. So I'm going to start us off with a couple of minutes of just some training in behavior change science, some conversation starting, hopefully. And then I'm excited to just open the room for questions, conversations, dialogue. So please, by all means, drop questions into chat, and or know that I'm not going to talk for very long. Famous last words, I know from me, but we'll move into dialogue and conversation as quickly as we can. So this is sort of an opening point of view. This is not directly related to behavior change science, but I want to give you context for how I think about behavior change science in the context of SLAP. We think of the methodology as sort of having 4 components. This idea that commitment is a choice, profit is a skill, mindset is a muscle, and success is science. We're going to spend most of our time today talking about success is science. We're going to walk through the science that we have designed SLAP based on, and that is sort of at the center of everything that we think can be at the root of how we help all of ourselves as individuals succeed. But the first moment you'll see, the first element of all of this is this concept that commitment is a choice. So I'm going to talk about it now, and then I'm going to talk about it again, because one of the, I would say the most significant premise in behavior change science is that I can't change you and you can't change me. But I can change me and you can change you if given adequate structure and support, if the conditions are put in place for our success to happen. And so I'll just give you guys context. My degree is in psychology, specifically developmental psychology and behavior change. And I did a lot of work in prison systems, working with juvenile delinquents. And it, to this day, remains some of the most beautiful work I've ever done. And so often the stories of these young men, I was working with men, young boys, these young men, is that there were a set of external circumstances that they were either born into or ended up living in. And in those sets of circumstances, they had certain choices that they had to make to either survive, to protect their family, to put food on the table, to do whatever whatever their motivation was. And more often than not, there was a reality that they did not have adequate, fair, just external structure and support to allow them to make different choices. And so I think so often when we think about behavior change, we can look at systems change, we can look at our own individual lives, we can look at our goals to make more money or lose 20 pounds or have a better marriage or build a six pack or hit our slap goals, right? All these outcomes, all these aspirations that we have, but we don't often think about the context of agency. And the reality is that commitment is a choice. Now, that puts the onus of responsibility on us as individuals. And so, what I want to offer first is we have to make personal choices, oftentimes, regardless of our external realities, to figure out the version of life we want to live and the outcome we want to get to. And success is science. If we don't have the right structure and support around us, the chance that that commitment that we make, those choices we make, will result in outcome goes down dramatically. And so at Silver Lining and everything we do, we're always trying to play with and understand the relationship between the micro and the macro. What is the individual agency we have? And then what are the macro realities that are true that are impacting our success? And when it comes to behavior change science, when it comes to gaming ourselves, when it comes to becoming higher performing, when it comes to getting to the outcomes that we ultimately want for our life, we need to embrace these two concepts. Number one is that commitment is a choice. That choice is personal. There's nobody other than ourselves that can choose to be committed to an outcome that we want. So I see, Tiffany in the room. I can't design Tiffany's life. I cannot choose Tiffany's outcomes, but I can support Tiffany in accomplishing the outcomes she's chosen for herself. Commitment is a choice. And then, even when we've made that choice, even when we are committed, success is science. And so, this is what we are going to spend more time thinking about, which is this idea that none of us were meant to do life alone. Behavior change science is basically a science-driven formula for exactly what we all need to succeed. If we get that structure and support and we're committed to choice and outcome, there's a very high likelihood that we will hit our goals. And so let's look at what the science says to prompt some questions. There's a lot of different experts in behavior change science who have many similar points of view and then some differing points of view. This is a guy named Prochaska who had this concept of stages of change. I don't think it's perfect. I don't think anyone's one idea is perfect, but I think there's a couple of really, really important lessons to pull from this concept, these stages of behavior change. The first is that, if you kind of look at this idea that you move from pre-contemplation to contemplation to preparation to action to maintenance to relapse, there is a version of behavior change that is a stage we all live in, which is called pre-contemplation, where we don't even recognize there's a problem. We're living our life, doing things a certain way, and we don't see yet that it's not serving us. We don't yet see or recognize that it's somehow misaligned to the outcome that we want. So if we want to operate with both confidence and humility, one of the first things I would offer to all of us is we honestly are all unsophisticated beings that are operating with less sophistication than we realize. And we all are operating in some level of pre-contemplation all the time. There are problems in our behavior that we don't even know are true because it's just the way we've always done it, or it's what we've been trained, or it's what we learned from our parents, or it's what society tells us to do. And so if we operate with this idea that we're probably all in pre-contemplation on any number of behaviors at this point, it opens up a sense of curiosity. It should not open up anxiety or concern or worry. What I hope it opens up is curiosity. Oh, what could I be more contemplative about, right? Maybe there's other things that are not working for me that I could adjust. Often when we feel frustrated by the outcomes in our life, there's something that we have not yet even considered that may be happening that's not serving our outcomes. So I want us to actually be aware of and embrace contemplation. That's one of the first things that we can take from this. The second is that there is an expectation of relapse. You can see that it's not like maybe sometimes people will really relapse. The final stage of behavior change is relapse. And so we can usually get ourselves to action with maybe a combination of therapy and motivation, right? Maybe you have a breakthrough at a therapist, or you had a great dinner with a friend, you get to some level of clarity, You're motivated. You go buy the Fitbit because you want to start walking more steps, right? That is moving into action. You do a thing, you make a definitive change. The hard part is not getting into action. The hard part is maintaining a new behavior over time. Two things happen. There's two big risks in behavior change. And one of the fascinating parts of our data in SLAP is that the slapsters that succeed the most with SLAP often don't renew. Think about how crazy that is, right? That's like saying, okay, I hired a personal trainer, I got my six pack, I can stop working out, which by the way is what most people do, right? I joined Weight Watchers, I lost 40 pounds, it worked, I don't need my Weight Watchers anymore. We constantly and consistently stop the things, we end the structure and support that got us the outcome we wanted, which is the opposite of what we need to do maintain it. So the analogy that I would give you is if your goal was to build a six pack and you took action, you hired a personal trainer, you did, 100 push-ups every day, you did everything you needed to do to get a six pack. If you stopped doing those behaviors that got you the six pack, if you did not maintain those same behaviors, what's going to happen? You will lose the six pack. It's a guarantee, right? It will go away. So we are, for some very frustrating, sad, annoying reason, we as humans are designed, our natural instinct is to stop the behaviors that actually get us the results that we want. That's why maintenance is so hard. That's why we stop and start so often. That's why we finally succeed and then we feel like we go backwards. That's why our marriage gets better and then it takes a turn for the worse. That's why we get healthier and then all of a sudden we fall off the wagon. That's why we stop drinking or stop smoking, but then we go back to those behaviors because maintenance is against our natural instincts and relapse is expected. A full or partial return to previous behaviors. And so our job, if we want to be excellent at basically gaming ourselves, is to be curious and humble enough to assume we're in pre-contemplation. We don't even know. There's things about our behavior we don't even know that we should be modifying. To figure out how to use some combination of ahas, awakenings, motivation to get into action. But then to be really aware of how critical maintenance is, to embrace this idea that we as humans were not naturally designed to maintain the good behaviors that we know will get us to our outcomes. And so we need to be preventing and protecting ourselves from relapse. That's the mission. How do we prevent ourselves from relapse, especially if you're already in the SLAP community, right? You've already taken action. SLAP, just so you guys understand, SLAP is designed to keep us in maintenance. If you sign up for a SLAP, you've taken the action. It's actually a maintenance program. It is about helping us continue to tweak and optimize our behaviors in the name of outcome. So SLAP is trying to help all of us not get to relapse, to stay in maintenance for sustained periods of time, year after year after year after year, to get to the outcomes we all desire for our businesses. Now, how do we stay in maintenance? How do we get past that natural instinct of ourselves to stop the behaviors that are helping us, to never start the behaviors that would help us, to get overconfident when we accomplish a goal in such a way that we actually stop doing the thing that helped us get there? How do we do maintenance well? This is a different expert in behavior change, but this is a structure I really love. Basically, the pillars of behavior change. The idea is not different than anything we've already talked about, but that first, if you want to create change and you want to maintain it for the long term, if you want to have the benefit of not falling into relapse and staying in maintenance, first you must gain commitment, right? So that goes back to commitment as a choice. Starts with the individual. Then the science physically says you've got to set modest goals, right? Many of you have probably been on calls with SLAP experts where we are begging you to set realistic SLAP goals. Don't set these dumb stretch goals that are never going to be accomplished. Don't set goals that are going to push you so far to the limit of your capacity and your cash flow that you're going to be stressed and burnt out all the time. Don't set goals that are unrealistic, that you're guaranteed to fail, and then build neural pathways that tell you you're a failure. Set the goals that are exciting and are profitable and are audacious, but are also realistic, modest. I don't love the word modest because it makes it sound like timid somehow, but the science literally says set modest goals. Then Rigorously track your behavior, right? What does that look like inside a SLAP? Did you do your action items? How many sales have you made, right? Are you attending your calls? It's that rigorous tracking of behavior, trying to find the deep, deep, deep alignment between how we spend our time and our money on a minute by minute basis and the goals that we've set for ourselves. When you think of gaining commitment, setting modest goals, and rigorously tracking behavior, I always think of a Fitbit. So we use the same science as Fitbit, Weight Watchers, the 12-step program. And I always have this, this is for the record, not what happened, but in my imagination, I always imagine a group of executives sitting in like some Fitbit office somewhere saying, okay, how do we help millions of people get committed to walking more? Well, let's get them to come buy a thing and put it on their body so they see it all the time. Okay, now how do we help them set a modest goal? How do we help all these humans that have no idea what the right amount of walking is? You know what? Forget it. They're never going to set good goals. We'll just tell them it's 10,000 steps. We're going to set the goal for them. We're going to do 10,000 steps. And then think about the rigorously tracking behavior, right? I don't even have a Fitbit and I think about 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, 4 steps, 5 steps. You're 100 steps away. You're 5 steps away. You did it, right? The Fitbit is such a nice example of gain commitment, set a modest goal, rigorously track behavior. I'm not in AA, but I have a lot of friends that are in recovery. And one of the things that I think is so beautiful about the 12-step program is this idea that the modest goal, a lot of my friends who do recovery, the mantra is, don't worry about not drinking for life. Worry about not drinking for just one more day, just today. And if you can't figure out how to get through the day, then just 1 hour. And if you cannot figure out how to get through the hour, just 1 minute. That is rigorously tracking behavior, right? Gain commitment. I'm going to stop drinking. I'm an alcoholic. I'm going to stop drinking. Set a modest goal. If I can't think about not drinking for the whole my life, 1 day. If I can't do that, 1 hour. If I can't do that, 1 minute. And then the rigorously tracking of behavior is, I love that, again, for the of you who don't know, when you're in AA, you get like badges, sobriety badges. So you get, I think they're like buttons. So I've been sober for 1 day, 1 month, 1 year, 2 years. And that is that rigorously tracking behavior. Think of Weight Watchers. You sign up for Weight Watchers. You set a modest goal. I'm going to lose 27 pounds in the next 14 weeks. Rigorously tracking behavior. Every single day, you get on a scale, you track your weight, you track the food you eat, rigorously tracking behavior. Every single behavior modification program follows some combination of this. SLAP, you sign up for SLAP, you set your SLAP goal, you rigorously track your behavior. This is the beginning of the formula. Now, why doesn't behavior change science work? There's usually one of 3 reasons. You're not really committed to the outcome. There's so many times I meet slapsters and they tell me their goal and I'm like, I don't believe you. I don't think that's what you want for your life. I don't think you care about making that much money. I don't think that's actually what you want. If we're out of alignment and we don't tell the truth about what we want, we cannot be committed. Commitment is not resolve. It's not hard work. It's not like being strong. Commitment is about alignment. And you can only be truly committed when you are truly aligned, when you are setting goals and outcomes and committing to outcomes that are true at your core. They're true for real, not because there's something that you think you should do or that you've been taught to do. Then what's another reason that businesses don't, succeed in SLAP? What's another reason behavior modification doesn't work? Because their goals are not realistic. They have not set modest goals. They've set what we've started to call it silver lining bad goals. I look at some SLAPs sometimes, I'm like, oh, that's a bad goal, right? If you made, let's say $44,000 last year, and your SLAP goal is to make $4 million this year, bad goal. You're not going to succeed. And you're going to build neural pathways that you're a failure. If you have a goal and you can succeed, you can hit it, but it's a 2% profit margin. So you're going to have cash flow issues. You're going to be stressed all the time. Bad goal. Don't set that goal. Set a good goal. Set a good goal. So why don't Slapsters succeed? Why don't any of us succeed? Even when we've got behavior modification wrapped around us, we're not really committed, which means we're not really aligned. We've got a bad goal, or we set the goal. We really are aligned, but we don't have the discipline and the focus of that rigorous tracking of behavior. I think I've said this to many of you many times, but there is an unbelievably, shockingly high correlation between mindset call attendance and hitting your goals. Listen, I think our slap experts are the most magical human beings on the planet. And so I do think it's partially because of how amazing they are. What I really think it is that accountability, that if you're someone that's willing to show up every month or every week or every day, depending on how often you do a mindset call, and look at the relationship between your behavior and your results and tweak and tweak and tweak with humility and curiosity, of course you're going to succeed. That's the rigorously tracking of behavior. Now, when those three things are happening, you build self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is basically building the confidence. Oh, wait a minute. I can set a goal and hit it. It's basically building confidence. It's building belief, but it's more powerful than that. In behavior change science, you're always building neural pathways. So this is a physical shift in your brain. You're always building neural pathways. You can either build neural pathways that build confidence. I am committed and aligned. I set a goal. I track my behavior. I see the relationships between actions and results. I maturely and responsibly modify my behavior to get to outcome. I can succeed. And those neural pathways literally start to believe you can succeed. And that applies to everything in your life, right? What do they always say? People who get really fit all of a sudden often have all these other benefits in their life. People who hit their financial goals have better marriages. That's not because they have more money. It's because they're learning the habit of success. Their neural pathways are being built, building efficacy. But what happens if you set a goal that you're not really committed to? What happens if you're out of alignment and you won't admit it? What happens if you are in alignment and you do set a good goal, but you don't have the focus and discipline to accept accountability, to rigorously track your behavior? You build neural pathways that basically say you're going to fail. So the neural pathways that are now in your brain that are driving all of your behavior and all of your mentality and all of your mindset is, there's nothing I can do. I work so hard, nothing works. I'm going to fail no matter what, so who cares? It's too hard. I want to quit. I'm a loser. I'm a failure. I'm embarrassed. I'm ashamed. It'll never work out. That's not true. There was just something that was slightly askew in the commitment, the goal setting, and the tracking of behavior. The risk of being askew is not just that you don't hit your goal, but you build these neural pathways. Now, all of those things result in building new habits, but you can either build good new habits or you can build bad new habits. We want to apply the behavior modification to build good new habits. And then wrapped around all of this is this very clear, beyond a shadow of a doubt, data, science-based truth that none of us can change our behavior by ourselves. Motivation is a fickle friend. There's no such thing as the Lone Ranger that just is so magically, wonderfully perfect and figures it all out. We all need some form of outside accountability and a peer community. What the peer community part of it that's so important is it's specifically, the science specifically says you need a peer community of people who are like you, trying to accomplish the same outcome, going through the same challenges, right? Again, think about the Fitbit community, right? When you join it, it's a bunch of people trying to walk 10,000 steps a day. You join Alcoholics Anonymous, it's a bunch of people trying to stop drinking. You join Weight Watchers, it's a bunch of people trying to lose weight. You join SLAP, it's a bunch of people trying to build profitable, sustainable small businesses that are having a good impact in the world. So when you have a lot of network in your life, if you have a lot of friends, if you go to lots of referral things, if you're in peer groups, that's beautiful, but that might not be the check mark of peer community that you need. So the reason I love SLAP so much, and just so you guys can see it in the science, I mean, we literally built it to try to solve for this maintenance issue that all of us face, to try to prevent relapse as much as possible, and to give you all of this in one structure so that if you just show up and use it, you get all of the pillars of behavior change that you need to give yourself the best shot of maintenance of this good behavior. So when you think about how to use SLAP to really modify your behavior, right? SLAP centers where you're tracking it. Your actions, right, are that rigorously tracking of behavior. What are all of the actions you're taking to go find new customers? What's working, what's not, and how do you rigorously optimize your behavior? Your SLAP experts are that outside accountability, but they're also over here. They're helping you set modest goals, rigorously track behavior, build self-efficacy. We're basically saying we're not going to leave you alone over here. We're going to give you that 24/7 support to help make sure that this is in alignment, that this is going to work and build the right neural pathways. So think of your SLAP experts as your master ninjas trying to just help you get this part of the equation right so that when you build new habits, they're good new habits. SLAP meets, where are we right now? A peer community, a group of people trying to figure the same thing out, right? Led by someone that maybe has expertise to offer. But the meets, by the way, are much more about all of us being together than whoever the speaker is. It's about a peer community of people trying to learn and hear from each other, explore these ideas, see each other's challenges, hear each other's successes, be inspired. Then connect. It's an algorithm-based tool to help you find each other. Not a network, not a directory, an algorithm-driven tool to help you find that peer community and connect with each other in the most powerful ways possible. And then access is that reward. A lot of behavior change science is based in gamification. And so we use a lot of gamification to help gamify your behavior. We want you guys to do the right behaviors so that you can hit your goals. But what we've learned is that if the reward is that you can win a free laptop or win a challenge or win a vacation or get a good EA or get capital, we can motivate you better to do the right behavior. And so there's a grand irony in that. But ironically, most of us are not motivated by the goals we set. And so in order to help, but those are they're good goals. We want you to get there. So access is actually, so you guys understand the science of it, we're trying to game your behavior to go and accomplish the goal that you set because we know it's important, but we're trying to basically bribe you with other rewards to do the behaviors we know you need to do so that you ultimately arrive at the goal you set for yourself. So that's behavior change science 101. The purpose of teaching it to you guys is, I always say, I want you to understand the science we use, because if you game yourself, it means you'll be more successful. We're trying to game you. We want you to game yourself. If we're all gaming ourselves together, we're going to increase the success rate of all of you guys. And so understanding the science is actually really powerful because it allows us to deploy it more effectively and to get what we need wrapped around ourselves in order to maximize our performance. So that's the science. Let's open it up. Comments, questions, thoughts. What's coming up for you guys? You can ask general questions or you can ask really specific questions that apply to your business specifically or something that you're trying to figure out for yourself specifically. And again, I just wanted to make a note, especially because we're talking about behavior change science. Peer community is not about having to always be the one that talks and gets an answer. Most often in behavior change, we actually learn more by hearing other people's experiences than by talking about our own. That's not to say don't talk. We've got 30 minutes together. I need lots of you to talk. But it's to say if someone else is talking, don't assume it's not relevant to you. There's always something in somebody else's experience when you're in a group of peers trying to figure the same thing out, fighting for the same type of outcome. There's actually often huge value in hearing other people's experiences. It will often maybe even tap into something that you may be in pre-contemplation on, you didn't even realize you should be thinking about. So I would just encourage you that I know this community is very loving, and so I think it'll happen naturally. But so often you will get as much value from hearing another person's question if you listen deeply than if you are simply trying to get your own question answered. That's the value of peer community. We'll be hearing things we wouldn't even thought of by hearing each other's experiences. Jen Trepic.
If I can figure out Zoom in 2024.
Me too. Me too.
Curious to hear how you see burnout playing into this process and this cycle. And like, I'm hearing it a lot all over. So I'm curious how it plays into the framework.
So yes. So can I show another slide? For the record, we just spent like 29 years, it feels like, building SLAP slides. Every single one of our philosophies in life, our methodology is now documented in 124 beautifully designed slides, and I love them so much that I cannot help myself. So I'm just going to go look at a slide. I'm going to share my screen. It's a great question. The answer, I think, is most often related to the misalignment of the way we're spending our time and money and the outcomes that we want. And the misalignment between those things is usually no one's fault. It's not like someone's failing. It's that I think the world has changed so dramatically in the last 4 years, but in ways that are very subtle and not obvious on a day-to-day basis, that I think a lot of us are trying to do the same things that we did before COVID, and they're not working anymore. And I think that there is a subtle tweaking for a lot of us in the outcomes we should expect and the behaviors we have to do to get to those outcomes that we have not maybe fully embraced. The other thing I think is that because we are all I think we got very used to being alone during COVID. And I do think that there is a high correlation in this burnout that we're all feeling, and how lonely I think we were for so long and how isolated we were. And so I do think that this concept of like peer community, outside structure and support, saying things out loud, being with people is significant. But let me just share this, and then let's keep talking about it because I want to hear what you guys all think as well. I'll share my screen now. I show this a lot, so some of you are going to be sick of seeing it, but let's look at it again. I think this is deeply connected to what we call stages of stuck. Stages of stuck are the idea that when we are in planning paralysis or action frenzy for too long, a sustained period of time, we get stuck. Stuck stage 1 sounds like I'm so busy, right? Basically every small business owner every day for all of time, forever. If we stay busy for too long, we end up getting a little bit overwhelmed. When we feel overwhelmed for too long, we feel like we've lost our passion. When we feel like we've lost our passion, we end up wanting to quit. I genuinely believe that small businesses very rarely fail because of the economy, politics, inflation rates. That's not why small businesses fail. Small businesses fail, to the point of your question, Jen, which I think we all need to be very concerned about right now, very acutely aware of. I believe small businesses fail because they go bankrupt or they burn out. They run out of time and money. And so the cash flow capacity catch-22 is this premise that none of us probably have enough time and money to do everything that we want to do. The irony is that we need more time to make more money, and we need more money to make more time. That's what I call it, the cash flow capacity catch-22. Growing a business requires, can anyone guess it? Time and money. So we never feel like we have enough time and money. We feel like we need more time to make more money. We need more money to make more time. We all want to grow our businesses. Growing a business requires time and money. And by the way, when the world is uncertain, when the economy is going through changes, when the world goes through global pandemics, outside pressure increases the difficulty of managing the time and the money that we have. So my belief in the simplest of sense, that's what's happening in the world right now, is that small business owners' cash flow capacity catch-22 is at red alert max levels in general across the board. We are feeling like we don't have enough time and money. External pressure is at high levels. We are in significant levels of economic uncertainty, political uncertainty. We've just come out of a pandemic that basically effed every single small business on the planet, or at the very least forced dramatic shifts to how we do things, which push pressure on time and money. So we are in probably I've been doing this for 19 years. I would say that in general, at a global level, we are at the most maximum levels of cash flow capacity catch-22 I have ever seen in my life. When we are in max levels of cash flow capacity catch-22, how we would probably feel that or experience that is feeling like we're under significant amounts of pressure. So we are under sustained pressure. Under sustained pressure, we all have a natural instinct to go into planning paralysis or action frenzy. Planning paralysis is, if I just get my website rebuilt, I'll figure this out. If I just do these 5 things, if I can get my strategy right, if I can find the right person to help me, if I can hire the right magical employee, if I can get that one magical deal done, everything will be better, right? Planning paralysis is the myth, the idea that if you get the plan right, somehow everything will be magically okay. Not true. Action frenzy, just as dangerous. I'll just do everything to try to solve my problems. I'll launch new courses. I'll do an Instagram thing. I'll do referral campaigns. I'll go to every networking event. I'll go to every conference. I'll do everything to solve my problem. I'm under so much pressure. I'm so stressed. I'm so scared. I'll do anything. Both of those things lead to busyness. Busy too long, overwhelmed too long, lost my passion too long, I want to quit. I want to quit is either I've burnt out or I've gone bankrupt. So what we need to do, especially if we feel like we're on the verge of bankruptcy or burnout, right? If we're in like that acute level of cash flow or capacity risk, like we're out, we're at the end of our rope. We need to start doing interventions on ourselves fast. So let me now quickly take us to another beautiful slap slide. I love the slap slide so much. You guys, they're the answer to all of my life's hopes and dreams. I think I can retire now that these slap slides are created. I may not be needed in the world anymore. Okay. How do we get unstuck? How do we get back into flow, even when we're under pressure? And especially when we don't have enough time and money. If you're all the way down at number 4, I want to quit, that is almost always because you've ended up out of alignment. The sustained pressure of being busy and overwhelmed and exhausted means that you've had to make series of choices to survive that have probably gotten you out of alignment. Oftentimes, it is about actually doing a complete realignment of your mindset, your profit, and your impact goals. Oftentimes, it's a redo of your business model. It's a rewrite of the slap. Like, it is about stepping all the way back and saying, I got too far off track. I am too pushed to the limit. And I'm probably under so much pressure that I can't even see things properly anymore. And maybe what I'm working so hard for is not the best or right thing. I'm not saying you shut down your business. I'm not saying fighting for your business is not the right thing. I'm saying maybe you're fighting for outcomes that don't make sense. Or maybe you're fighting for an income stream that it's time to retire. Or maybe you're fighting for an action or something that you think should work. It's just not going to work anymore. And so let's get back to what is going to work and get into alignment. Now, right before getting to 4, it sounds like I've lost my passion. If any of you feel like you are just so over it, right? You might be using the word burnt out, tired, not excited anymore. I am telling you, I promise you, max your credit cards, drain your bank account, rent your house on Airbnb for a week to make enough money. You've got to go on a vacation. There is nothing you can do from this level of exhaustion. There's nothing you can do. You got to go away, get your brain back. When your brain comes back, so will your passion. Your passion, it's impossible to be passionate when you're exhausted. And the risk of not doing an intervention if you're at stage 3 is that you will get to stuck stage 4. This is a cycle you fall through. And so the intervention at the burnout level, at the exhaustion level, before you get to 4 is to rest. It's to go get yourself a break. Yes, it might impact your business. Yes, you might sacrifice revenue. Yes, your cash flow might get tighter. I get it. But that's better than getting to stuck stage 4, because stuck stage 4 is danger zone, and I don't want you there. You can get there and still turn around. It's just harder. Now, if you don't think you're yet at stage 3, but you're feeling overwhelmed, the next thing that comes after overwhelm is exhaustion, which is burnout. More than likely, overwhelm is connected to unrealistic goals. If we go back to the science of setting modest goals, the opposite of setting modest goals is setting unrealistic goals, setting bad goals. Now, unrealistic goals doesn't just mean they're too big. Maybe you're selling something you're not an expert in. Maybe you're selling something your ideal client doesn't want to buy. Maybe you're selling something that doesn't have a good profit margin. And so even though you're making lots of sales, you have to make so many to make any profit that you're exhausted and burnt out and running like crazy. So unrealistic goals aren't just too big. They're maybe not accurate. They're not the best use of your time. They're not profitable enough, right? They're all the things that ultimately make it not a good goal. So if you're overwhelmed, we got to go back to your goals. We got to recenter into making sure you've got good, realistic SLAP goals. And if you're just feeling too busy, if you're in this sort of more natural place that most people are in, I'm just freaking busy and I'm sick of being so busy and I'm worried if I stay so busy, I'm going to get overwhelmed and then exhausted and then out of alignment. You got to just go into your calendar and cut a bunch of stuff. The answer to I'm too busy is say no. Delete stuff. resign from boards, get stuff off your plate, quit doing as much as you're doing, and prevent yourself from getting into stuck stage 2, 3, or 4. So the answer in all of this is to say, yes, I think that small business owners have been under a sustained period of pressure for 4 years now. That's a very long time. I think that our time and our money is being pushed to the maximum. I think that we probably all have less time and money than we're comfortable admitting to ourselves, that, we're probably under the wire in many instances, many of us. I think that there's been subtle changes to how the economy works, how transactions happen, how our ideal clients are operating, that are probably making it harder to do what you do, or different. I wasn't going to say harder, that I think it probably requires us to do what we do a little bit differently than we did before, but maybe not all of us have fully figured out what that is yet. And I think a lot of us are struggling through these stages of stuck. 1, 2, 3, 4. Stuck stage 4 is burnout. I'm out. And I believe we can intervene on ourselves even as we're under sustained pressure. And I would just offer that the more pressure we're under and the more maxed out our cash flow and capacity are, the more diligent we must be about saying no to everything we possibly can and protecting our mindset. Because if we are managing precarious situations, then we need our wits about us. And we can get through it, and we will get through it. But we're not going to get through it if we are exhausted, burnt out, lost our passion, want to quit. And so the interventions are to do the things that feel the opposite of what's natural, right? What's going to feel natural is all of you are going to want to go into planning paralysis and action frenzy. It's the natural response, but it is the opposite of what we want to do. What we want to do is these interventions. Say no to as much as we can, calm the system down, realign to realistic goals, get into reality as quickly as possible. If we're exhausted, take a vacation. Acknowledge that things might get worse for a week, but when we come back rested, we'll be better equipped to handle it, and that's better, right? We've got to do everything we can to intervene to not let ourselves get all the way down to stuck stage 4. Jen, Jen, what's your thought on that? How does that resonate to what you're seeing and thinking?
Yeah, it makes total sense. And it's part of why, like, to me, it also ties in with what you're saying of why maintenance is so hard, right?
Yes.
Because there's also the perception that, like, in maintenance, I'm not doing enough. And it's a different energy than when we're creating something new or whatever. And so it's that, I think it's a constant push and pull, because so many of us come to this and whatever we do because we have so many ideas. They're the things that we want to do. And so it's like, I don't know. I'm not making any sense, but it makes sense in my head.
You are making sense. I think that again, our ideas are so helpful as business owners if applied to the right things, right? So like the ideas, the creativity that I think would be really helpful for all of us if we're under sustained pressure, at risk of burnout, bankruptcy, right, in stuck stage 2, 3, 4, where we want to apply creativity is, what could I say no to that is actually not my highest and best use? What am I doing that I could double down on and be even more successful around that would give me more capacity? How could I do what I do, but grow my profit margins by 10% so that I get more benefit from all the work I'm doing? So that part of us that is creative and innovative and idea oriented does not go away in maintenance mode. It is just applied to optimization as opposed to new things all the time. And again, great optimization happens with people who are brave enough to stop and start things in the name of getting to outcome. So I would argue that maintenance mode is actually highly creative. It is, but it's applying the creativity to the relationship between our actions and our results and optimizing that relationship as opposed to action frenzy or planning paralysis, right? I'll ideate more plans. I'll ideate new things to do. It's how do I get so creative and innovative about gaming this relationship between my actions and my maximum performance, my maximum results? But I think there's a huge call for the creativity that all of us have in that. And that becomes exciting, right? I am a very big idea person. My natural instinct is definitely action frenzy. I could start a new idea every day. I could talk to all of you and I could come up with 5 new business ideas with every single one of you in about 4.5 minutes. And I'd be thrilled and I'd be equally excited about all of them. I mean, I could do it all day long. And I have been able to game myself enough and build enough neural pathways that I actually believe it now. I'm so much more interesting as a CEO in the applying that part of myself to the optimization of our performance as opposed to doing a bunch of new stuff. It is actually a more I find it to be a much more challenging and creative game to play. That is the application of that same part of myself. So it's not about eliminating it. Maintenance is the application of it, I would say. Someone sent me a direct message, so I won't say who in case we want it to be private, but I think it's a great question. One of my challenges with alignment and commitment is accepting that the world is complex and that I cannot perfectly contribute only good to the world. Woo! That is a juicy statement. One of the things that so I agree, first of all. I'll tell you guys just a small story about this. We, as you guys know, have a really big partnership with Wells Fargo. And they pursued us. They called Silver Lining and wanted to do a partnership with us. And I said no at first because I think that they've made a lot of bad choices and my values do not align with a lot of the values of what Wells Fargo has done in the past. And the person that we worked with at Wells Fargo, I said this to them and he said to me, listen, you may not agree with how the money was made, but it's better in your hands than ours. You should take it and do something good with it. And I thought, you know what? True. And so there is something that I believe very deeply in, which is that perfection, it's not going to happen. The justice that I want to see in the world probably won't happen in my lifetime. But if I can figure out how to use the time and money that I have in the most responsible way that somehow balances my wellness, right? And the wellness of my team, my profit, and my contribution, and then acknowledges that I'm not going to be perfect at any of it, and there's no such thing as perfectly doing everything perfectly right, then I can probably have a pretty good go at making a pretty good impact. But to the point of the person who asked that question, it won't be perfect. I'm going to show you this slap slide. You guys, I don't think you understand how amazing these slap slides are. They are going to change all of our lives. I love these slap slides. But this is what I'm fighting for. To the point of the comment, I'm fighting for this idea that by building Silver Lining, my time will be maximized. I'll be higher performing. I'll have a stronger mindset. I'll be in community. I'll be, as well as I possibly can be, body and mind. I will be more financially successful. I will have the skill of setting and hitting financial goals. I will be able to create financial success in community with all of you, share it with my staff. And that as my business grows, so too will my impact. That I will see that my work and the growth of my performance and my money creates a better world. Do I believe that my time will be perfect? Do I believe that my mind and body will be perfect all the time? Do I believe that I will be perfectly financially successful? Do I believe that I will be in perfect alignment with every single one of my values 100% of the time? No, but I'm gunning for 80%. That's how I've reconciled this. I'm a perfectionist and I want 100% of everything. That if I can live a life where I am in alignment with my body and my mind 80% of the time, with the financial success I think I'm capable of accomplishing 80% of the time, and the impact that I think I'm here in the world to do 80% of the time. And I understand that I'm going to have to compromise and sacrifice about 20% of the time just because I live in a crappy world and it's true. Then I think I'll be able to go to bed one day, in 100 years and lie in peace and think that was a good go. So I think that if we're pursuing the growth of all of these in alignment and accepting that we're never going to get to 100% on any of them, but getting to 80% on all three instead of to 100% on one or the other is a better way to change the world. I think that becomes a really exciting, hopeful view of things with a lot of reality that we can live in, that we are operating in an unideal world with a lot of fellow flawed humans, right? We are unideal, operating with other unideal humans in a horrifically flawed world. So perfection is not on the table for us, but I think alignment is. And I think 80% across the board is on the table for us. And that's what I want us to fight for. And Yellis, I see your hand.
Hi, Carissa. Thank you so much for
It's so
wonderful.
good to see you. I haven't seen you in so long. I'm so happy to see you.
I know. Thank you so much for hosting this. Really, really great insights. I'm happy to see you too. What's coming to mind for me is boundaries and the role of boundaries in all of this, because
Yes.
in order to say no and to protect our time and our
Yes.
it's really difficult sometimes, especially depending on our upbringing and circumstances, to say no.
Yes.
Also, can you talk about the role of boundaries and how to create better boundaries in our business so that we can continue to be successful?
Oh, I would love to. Colombo and Sashini, we should do an entire meet on saying no. Can we do that? Can we program it this year? And it should be mandatory attendance. All the slapsters globally. I mean, it's such a good question. So I'm going to create it. I'm going to show you guys a slap slide. I know you're so surprised. I have been horrifically terrible at saying no. It is truly one of my hardest things. I have become pretty good at it though. I would say that I am becoming much more effective at it. The way that I have been able to do it in a way that feels in alignment with who I want to be in the world is not that I like walk around saying no to people, because that doesn't feel good. I love people. I'm a yes person. It's the time budget. Your time budget is the thing, because you take your 168 hours in a week, you divide them against your priorities, how much time you can allocate, and then you get very good at saying no to hustle, to over giving, to busy, yes to focus, and to discipline and highest priorities. And this is the sentence that changed my life. I literally say to everyone that I have to say no to, whether it's a family member that needs me to help them with an errand, a friend that wants to have fun, a team member that needs another meeting with me, a community member that is asking me for support. I literally say to them, listen, there's so much I want to do in the world. I am overwhelmed with how much I love this world and people like you. My only hope, because I'm such a yes person, is that I have a really strict time budget so that I can try to be as effective as possible with the time that I have. And right now, my time budget is maxed out in that category. I'm totally maxed in my community budget. I have no more budget. In the same way we would say we have no more budget with our money. I'm maxed on my time budget. I believe in you. I can't say yes to you. But call me in 6 months and maybe I can, or call me never and I can't, right? But my budget is maxed. And so then all of a sudden it's not relational. It's not about who we like or don't like. It's not even about guilt. It's just that I'm maxed. And then there's personal accountability. Because if my budget's maxed, but I really want to say yes to something, my accountability to myself is that I need to go say no to something else I previously said yes to, because I don't have any more time to say yes. I can't. It's out. It's so logical. So my calendar has helped me get good at realizing that boundaries and saying no is not relational. It's actually practical. I quite literally have 168 hours a week. So do each of you. There is a finite number of things I can do. And so I am managing my budget in the exact same way that someone's trying to sell you a t-shirt. You might say, it's not in my budget to buy that t-shirt. So I have developed this really beautiful relationship with saying yes and no, relating it to my time budget, not to how much I like the other person on the other side. So let's do a whole session on that. But I honestly think that the freedom in boundaries comes from a time budget and a practical assessment of the hours we have, not in messy emotion and relational stuff about who we say yes to and what we say no to and how we do it. But does that help? Does that give you the tiny bit of relief or hope? Okay, I see. So helpful. Okay, we're at time. In the content and concept of a time budget, my challenge to all of you is sitting in a room and listening to information does none of you any good whatsoever. What matters is the application of the knowledge. So my challenge to each of you is think of one thing that tweaked for you. It could be significant, it could be tiny, it could be big, it could be small. But what is one tweak in your behavior that you could do, right? Change does not happen with massive, big disruptions. Results happen. Results are the result of tons of tiny modifications to behavior over a sustained period of time. So out of this conversation, not one massive big change. What is one tiny tweak to your actions that you will make that could get you closer to the outcomes you desire? Small tweaks, small changes over and over and over again for a lifetime will allow us to get to that silver standard, right? Of 80% alignment of time, money, and impact. Okay. Last thing is, if anyone wants to ask for support, put it in chat right now. You can DM Colombo if you want it to be private, although I encourage you to put it in the group chat, because there should be absolutely no shame in asking for support based on everything we just talked about. Success is science. Do you need a mindset call? Do you need to review your SLAP goal? Do you need a calendar audit with accountability to say no to a bunch of stuff? Do you need more mindset calls to get more consistent accountability? Do you want to get in with a SLAP expert and have accountability to book a vacation? Are you at risk of burnout and you need to say it out loud so we can rally around you? What do you need? Put it in chat. Colombo takes all those things and we physically go create a ticket for every single one of them, and we don't close the ticket until we know we've gotten you what you need. So you tell us what you need. The strongest people, this is one of my favorite sayings I've been saying lately. If I do say so myself, I think it's quite clever. Quote by Carissa Reiniger. The smartest people ask the best questions, and the strongest people ask for the most support. The smartest people ask the best questions. The strongest people ask for the most support. Bethany, at risk of burnout, can't afford a vacation. Great, let's solve that problem. I love that you said it. So let's make sure, Colombo, we do a red alert ticket for Bethany. We want to help. Slideshows from today. Do you guys want my SLAP slides? I feel like no one wants 124 SLAP slides, but I think you should want them. They're so good. Okay. Colombo, can you make a note, or Sashity, somebody? I'm going to do a short recording about the SLAP slides. I'm going to attach all of them, and then let's send it out as a SLAP alert to all SLAPsters. All the slides. They're so fun. Okay. Slides are coming to everyone. I love the people asking for extra mindset calls. I love the people thinking about consistency. I need support with figuring out my strategy and offering. Great. Let's figure that out. Great. The smartest people ask the best questions. The strongest people ask for the most support. Linda, we see you on the burnout. We're going to jump in. So Colombo, you've got all the notes.
Got it.
Okay. Simone, I think it's great that you just said that you have a hard time of asking for support. We all do. For the record, we are terrible at it. I'm going to tell you guys one stat before we go. I know we're over time. We spend quite literally millions of minutes every year supporting SLAPsters. Our SLAP experts spend millions of minutes in Zoom every year. Literally, that's a real stat. Ask me what percentage of those minutes you guys ask for. Somebody ask me that question. Okay, no one's asking. I'm going to ask myself. Carissa, what percentage of those millions of minutes do SLAPsters ask for help? 7%. 7% of the time, you guys, 7% of the minutes you guys have asked for help. 93% of the time, our algorithms and our data are alerting us to the fact that you probably need a little structure and support. And so then we jump in and we give it to you in spite of yourselves. And then you guys ignore us and you say no, and you don't come to your calls, and we have to fight so hard to support you. And it's the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I love you all anyways, but we are terrible at asking for structure and support. And this is a group of you that signed up for SLAP, and still, right, we're terrible at asking for and accepting structure and support. And even when we reach out proactively to you, you ignore us. I tell you all this not to make you feel bad, but to just reinforce, Simone, what you said. we are terrible as humans at embracing structure and support. It's hard for us for some reason. So that's part of why this community and these conversations are so powerful. Great. We know that. We can be aware of that together, and we can continue to advocate for each other, even though it's probably against our natural instinct to ask for that structure and support. So just know that about yourself. There's probably 100 times a day where you could benefit from asking for structure and support. Our instinct will be to shut it down. And that's okay. That's why we're all here together to figure it out. Okay. I genuinely love you all. I love all of the comments. I'm going to joyfully give you guys all these slap slides with a little video. So watch your emails. We'll get it out by early next week for sure. It'll come into your inbox. We'll make sure it says slap alert. You know, get your slap slides or something like that. So just watch your inbox for that. We'll send it out. And we will follow up with every single one of you individually that put something in chat. And we'll figure these things out together. All right. Thanks, guys. To be continued. Come next Tuesday. It's going to be great. That slot meet with Dion is going to be amazing. To be continued. Bye, guys.